Hello, YouTube. This is an experiment. I'm trying to stream things. I've got no idea if it's going to work. I can see a chat box. I can see Dom in there, actually. Hello, Dom. Um, I've I can't find a way to actually enter any chat. There's got to be a way. I'm sure I've done it before, but there you go. So this is a noble experiment, and I'll be around for a while chatting about. Well, I say chatting, talking about my 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and I wanted to basically let you know. As you know, I am the 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons guy. Still in bed. What the hell? Hello, Narrative Escapes. Yeah, first thing you see in the morning. Dreadful. Yeah, do you know, I've become the 4th edition guy. I don't know how that happened. I really don't know how that happened. Fate, perhaps. But I'm going to run through the campaign that I've been running. 25 sessions. Now, before lockdown, I never used to run games that were more than half a dozen at a time. Just didn't used to do it. Sort of falling back into the Fantasy D20 series of games. As I've said before, I've discovered a set of games that actually I feel kind of is built for the long form process. The whole thing, the whole progression piece is kind of wanting you to run things over quite a significant amount of time. So I've found that over lockdown, I've run Pathfinder 2nd edition, I run 4th edition, I've even run some True 20. So I've got back into their Fantasy D20. But 25 sessions is quite a long time. We started in January 2020. January 2021. So it's been mostly a year. 25 sessions, and they're up to about 5th level. So, if I was to keep going, and if real life allowed all of us to keep going with 30 levels, well, that's what I've done about 5th level. I've done a 6th of it. So another 5 years. That's not going to happen, is it? But I guess the campaign has already sort of done its thing. It's done its thing. It's delivered great benefit and a lot of fun for both myself and the gamers around the table. Online gaming, we're all online gaming pretty much now, aren't we? I put it out there into known corners and unknown corners of the internet to get players to come along. Open to anybody. I wasn't sure who I was going to get. I knew I'd get probably a mixed roster of knowns and probably some unknowns. And I have. And I've got sort of old friends who've been with me on the gaming journey for some time and new people. And fantastic to have some new people. We've got London, we've got West Midlands, we've got Leeds, we've got my hometown, and we've got Seattle. Yeah, Seattle. So international, and so it should be. And it's going really, really well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I'm also playing with the text slightly and just working out how all this sort of stuff works. I've got a vague idea. So it's 4th edition. I've run it very much with the core books, a little bit of essentials thrown in as well. I've got other videos where I've talked about 4th edition and how I've got hold of it and how you can get hold of it if you want to play it. What I think I want to say is that 4th edition is a great version of D&D. At least it pushes all the D&D buttons, and it does things, as you know, very, very slightly differently. So the classes and the powers work very slightly differently, but actually in delivering a heroic fantasy experience where the players are central to everything, it's just great, and it has that long-term play. I've just seen Dom mention that I'm playing an Estrade game with Dom, 5th edition, and I'm not pejorative. I like most of the D&Ds, and playing a great game of 5th edition. And that's 33 sessions in, as Dom says. So it is designed for long-form play. It's great when you get a roster of players who are enthusiastic and love it, and it's all about the players at the end of the day. You can wax lyrical about the game itself, and maybe some of the tools, and I'll do that in a moment. But it's down to the players. I've got a great crew of players in the 4th edition game. They're really enthusiastic, and I'll run through a little bit of that as well. So something about 4th edition then and the campaign. So I've set it in Nentir Vale. Nentir Vale is the core setting of 4th edition. It's the default setting, if you like, and it's a terrific setting. Points of Light, very much a 4th edition thing. I mean, it may have a history, but certainly I picked it up in 4th edition. Small pockets of civilization, places where you are mostly safe, and in between is a broiling, uncertain wilderness of dangers. And the thing about the player characters is that they are the movers and shakers. They can move between the points of light. They can make a difference. And whereas most characters, most people that you'll meet in the game won't level and won't sort of progress in that sort of super heroic way that player characters do, but the player characters have the power to do that. Sometimes they're challenged. And I'm running it fairly as a sandbox, not quite, but very much the players will decide where they want to go and I will follow. And what we'll look at is some of the tools that I use to help me follow them quickly whilst enabling me to run a fairly sort of full-flavoured 4th edition game. There's more going on in 4th edition in terms of stat blocks and mechanics than you'd expect in some of the earlier versions of D&D. And I've been playing OSE. I played a game of OSE with Dom recently. That reminded me how stripped down and much smaller it was. Dom's saying that, quite rightly, it's Points of Light isn't new. I like the way it's done in Nentia Vale. So, Points of Light, Nentia Vale setting, really, really interesting, really, really good. What actually I've done is, if you sort of know the 4th edition corpus at all well, and I didn't, I picked out the Reavers of Harkenwald. The Reavers of Harkenwald is just a small section of Nentia Vale. Something else I would encourage, if you do run some 4th edition, or indeed run some Nentia Vale with whatever edition you fancy, frankly. It's a great setting, it's lots of fun. Faded Empire, 100 years ago or more is gone, northerly province, probably slightly on the edge to start with, and now, divested of any authority really, is struggling against a wilderness around it, and other powers. Harkenwald is a classic example. It's the Reavers of Harkenwald is in the Essentials line. It's a 2-part mini campaign. Really good, actually. I really enjoyed it. No spoilers, but you can see there on the map. And by the way, these are the Mike Schley maps. So the other thing I would recommend, I went out and I bought Mike Schley's, I think it's about 11 maps of sort of Nentia Vale. In fact, it's the Reavers of Harkenwald set. At some point when this is recorded, I'll put some links in the show notes, and you can take a look at that. Well worth getting. This is his map of Harkenwald, and they're very much the core setting. This is a setting that's been invaded by the Iron Circle. The Iron Circle, a group of mercenaries who have a long history much further in the south of the world of Narath and south of Narath and the Narath Empire. But they found their way north here for a reason. And they have invaded Harkenwald. They've taken Harken. The people are oppressed. Who's there to help them? Well, the player characters. And the player characters turn up and they do that. And all the setting builds up to a great crescendo. And they make a difference. And if it was not for the player characters being there, Harkenwald to this day would be overrun by the Iron Circle. The Iron Circle themselves being driven by higher and inimicably evil forces. Classic stuff. And a great way to bring your players into the 4th edition setting, the idea of Points of Light, the idea that they're movers and shakers. There are lots... The other nice thing about playing out in 4th edition, just to pick up your point, Dom, is there's lots of material out there. I just transition back to that map. I must quote where that map's come from. I often just pick things up, kind of in the round. There's a great map of Nentir Vale overall by Mike Schley as well, which I have. This one I picked up, and I just liked the way it looked, and so I just plonked it in there. And I've been using it for other purposes as well. There's a lot of material, so I think there's something about sort of starting 11 years after it was all out there. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can just grab and use. I'm very flattered to think it was my map, but no. It's awesome though, really, really lovely. You can talk a lot about, so the game itself is great. 4th edition has been a fantastic edition to play with. I love it. I absolutely love it. I have to say, I've really found, I think, what might be my D&D, to be honest. Great setting. But as I say, it's all about the players, really, isn't it, at the end of the day? This is our group. They've called themselves Sturm und Drang. And, you know, they go around to new places and say, we are Sturm und Drang. And, you know, pregnant pause. Never heard of you. Actually, increasingly, non-player characters and other places have said, oh, what? You're Sturm und Drang? Ah, everyone, note, it's Sturm und Drang, they're here. And we've got this reputation thing going with the group, which is rather nice. In simple terms, I just look at the level of the group, which is now 5th level. I roll a d20, I add 5, and if I get a DC, a difficulty check of 20, they've heard of you. If they roll a 20, then, you know, they've probably got a cupboard with the effigies of you somewhere. So that's kind of nice. So these are my player characters. We've got a nice mix, some unexpected ones in there. I wasn't expecting Tal'Darai to turn up. That's our one roster change in 25. Sessions, a drow fighter, and now a drow fighter cleric, beloved of Lolth. Wasn't expecting that. You know, but a great mix. And we've got a great mix of essentials characters and core line characters. They interplay and blend pretty seamlessly, I've found. A human wander, a warlord, a wizard, a hexblade, and a fighter. Great combination. And the players have made it. Obviously the players have made it. I think their enthusiasm and their love of the game have made it really good. So 4th edition, I've spoken a lot about it technically. In practice, it plays really well. And I wanted to make that point, I suppose, that, you know, I've been playing it and really enjoying it. I think, although time has passed, there are a lot of tools out there that I thought I would just mention in this quick test stream. And here's the character builder. So you can see a copy of the character builder operating here. It's great. I mean, you can find it in the corners of the internet. I will probably again put a link to a YouTube video that guides you through setting it up. It's not dissimilar to some of the tools for the sort of current editions and indeed other editions. It's a character builder. You basically point and click, select. In fact, you can select your level and build it up. And it's great. It's great. It means you can basically build up a character really, really quickly, and you can generate outputs from that character. I'll talk a bit about the virtual tabletop we're using a little bit. Of course, I have set it up in Roll, but certainly getting a paper copy, you know, you can get some great outputs. Well, you get a standard output that is all done for you as a consequence of building it up online, which is really, really good. In fact, let me just pop up one of the parts of the output that you get. So this is like, you know, pages 3 and 4 and possibly 5 and more if you've got high-level characters of your sheet. And it renders all the powers into cards. So, you know, here's an example of, well, it's a barbarian that I created for an online game I played. And these are just some example of the powers that the barbarian has. I'd be very tempted to sort of, if I was playing as a player and I had this output, I would just print them out on card, cut them up and have my own little deck. Because that's how I am. That's what I like, that kind of stuff. But it's great. It sets it all out for you. Gorgeous. In fact, there's a setting I haven't put on there which gives you the narrative description of each of the powers. So it's that narrative mix with this sort of incredible powers. Green at will, as often as you like. Red, encounter powers, use it once in an encounter. And the greys are your big booms that you can do once per day. Again, it's got that lovely 4th edition simplicity of play, nice clarity of power usage. Fantastic. So there are tools out there to help you with your characters. Something I've found with the game, and maybe you've found this with your long-form campaigns as well, and I know for a fact that it's true of Strahd, it's also true of what I've got going, is the game doesn't stop, when the session ends. So we've got this continual discussion going on, and we've got a couple of dedicated Discord channels. One sort of a general channel and one an in-character channel. We've got a hiatus now over Christmas. We'll pick up again in 2022. The in-character channel will be busy, I suspect, in the next few weeks as we continue to chat and work out what they're doing. They're right in the middle of the Witchlight Fens. They've just met. Where is he? This will mean nothing to you. Shadowmire. I'll talk a bit about the character build, not the character builder, master plan in a minute. This is Shadowmire. You can't see, you don't want to see. Powerful dragon that is one of the powers of Nentir Vale. They've met Shadowmire last night, actually. That was a scary moment. I did like playing Shadowmire. Yeah, and there'll be plenty of talk about that. So, yes. Discord is a very simple method of just keeping the players together, talking in between sessions. It's a lot of fun. I love it. That's Discord. I did mention Master Plan. I'll now talk a bit more about Master Plan. Master Plan is just another tool that's out there. I think somebody local to me actually has built it, and it's got a long history. It's on version 12, I think now. I think I've got version 11 running. I think it's a Windows XE. So I can run it. It's a full campaign builder. You can put in encounters, of which you can see me building an encounter on screen now. You can put in character notes. You can do maps. You can do skill challenges. You can create sort of treasure parcels for people to find. You can do lots of notes. I don't use all that. I purely use it as an encounter builder. And as an encounter builder, it is phenomenal. You can do it pretty much on the fly. You can, in fact, if I can see there, you can basically drag and drop your characters, your monsters, onto your encounter. That builds up over time. You can see over time how many experience points and how dangerous the encounter is for the number of characters and the levels that they're at. So there's that balance thing going on. So it's starting to become a big encounter for them. It's becoming quite hard for them to survive. There's all the balance built in. You don't have to worry about that, but it's just there built in. It's absolutely no sweat. But the great thing about Master Builder for me is that once you build your encounter, you can see on the right-hand side of that pane, just over there, it renders it all in HTML. And it renders it, I'm going to say, perfectly. It is as if you'd pulled the stat block, out of, one of these marvelous actual books. Yeah. It just renders it. So you've got a HTML file. You can then export the HTML file, and it turns it into, if you want, little bits of paper. And actually, that's what I use on the fly, which is kind of, really pretty damn good, I think. Master plan, well worth having. It's great to be able to do it on the fly. It means you can just do the HTML thing, and it's done. It's there. In fact, let me just show you a copy of the output. So that's an example of the output. So I just took it from one of my HTML files that I'd created. This is, some of the iron circle. That's the iron circle. Boo, hiss, etc. But phenomenal tool. Something that I do, something that you might want to do if you are running 4th edition. I think it's well known that the game evolved slightly in the 4 or 5 years of its print life. When it got to Monster Manual 3, they realigned some of the stats in terms of how the monsters work or the adversaries work. A little bit lower on the hit points, a little bit higher on the damage they dish out. Speeds up and makes the combats more dangerous. You can argue that you don't need to do that actually at all, really, until you're probably outside of the heroic tier. The heroic tier being what, levels 1 to 10. I tend to apply it. That is all the monster maths in one place. So you can build any monster actually based kind of on that. So let me see. A level 1 monster will have a defense of 13 probably, an armor class probably of 15, and so it increments up as the monsters become more powerful, and then that's modified by the type. Damage, for example, is increased if it's an encounter power. It's increased if it's a brute. It's reduced slightly if the power, the damage that you're dishing out is a multiple target power, which can get everybody a little bit less damage. And then minions do half damage again. Elites do double. Solos do ×4. It's pretty good. Hi, Nigel. It's nice to see you as well. Brilliant. Yeah, it's a great program, isn't it? It's absolutely phenomenal. It saved hours for me. Hours and hours, I can tell you. Absolutely. Anyway, so Monster Manual 3 Maths. Yeah, I do play a bit with that. But I'm not alone. The thing is, when you're running a game that's had all this history and you kind of just waltz along, you get all the advantages of all the phenomenal work that others have put in at probably no pay. They've just done the work. Master Plan being probably a classic example. But there's a lot of lore. Nentia Vale wasn't published as a setting. I mean, probably the most lore that you get is in the Monster Vault book, which I've got recently. I've got this from Patriot Games. It's sort of for a song, really. But the fan base have done so. I'm going to have a look at the person that did this. This person has done 2 massive drops of lore that are both PDFs that you can pick up. They're available on the piazza.org.uk. I'll show you the Piazza in a minute as well. A full gazetteer even, and there's also a history of Nentia Vale. These are phenomenally brilliant products. I'm using it. I'm dipping into this all the time. It's tremendous to have this out there. So either official or online, loads of brilliant material. So I've been really, really very fortunate to be able to access that. Again, online, you've got a lot of stuff. Another thing that I use a lot with 4th edition. Now, 4th edition is quite heavily codified. It's a new school game. It's got lots of rules. There's not a lot of interpretation playing 4th edition. It's one of the reasons that, frankly, it probably appeals to me. You're just playing the game, and actually, as you play, you know what a power does because it tells you. You know what the area of effect is because potentially it doesn't have to be, but you're on a grid and it's just obvious. You're either in the area of effect or you're not, and it's just there's no beard stroking on this. This is just the game. But it's great to have tools, and one of the tools that's out there is a compendium, and I'll show you the compendium. This compendium, you can literally search pretty much for anything, any power, any adversary or monster, any magical item, and it renders it for you. And so actually you can pull things up using the compendium. If there's a rule you're looking for, it's there. Information on the character class, it's there. All at a search away. It's absolutely tremendous. And this basically is live and running when I'm running the game. Do I look at the rule book? Not much. I tend to just use the online compendium and just check it all out. And it's pretty much all there. So really good tool. I'll give you a quick tour of that in a moment as well when we have a look at roll. Lots of materials. So character builder, master plan, this online compendium, some information on the piazza.org.uk, and random searches, Google Internet, images, maps, Mike Schlee's maps, tons of stuff. The fact that it's been and gone does not mean it's dead. It means there's a rich history on which you can draw. Online compendium. All right, I'm going to try and be really clever now. This might be the end. I'm going to press a button, see what happens. I'm going to take you to roll. I'm going to take you online. Online. Will it work? I'm going to just push a button. Let's just see. Oh. Well, you can tell me in the chat if that's worked. But hopefully Let me just get rid of this for a second. Right, this is I've not put my camera on roll while I'm also on OBS and on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? There's too many things to go wrong, so I've left myself in a corner. Hello, but this is the Roll Virtual Tabletop, which again I'd highly recommend. I'd say Roll is built for probably lighter games than 4th edition, if I'm being honest. It's built for light narrative strike games with an emphasis on audio visual. The picture of the Eladrin there with the sort of eldritch eyes, that would be my video camera with me saying hello in that camera. And as more players join, they all resolve and they become video cameras, AV, audio visual. It's great for audio visual. It's built around video conferencing with tools around the edges. I'll quickly show you around the edges. This is not a full roll review. I'll do one some other time. But this is where we're doing our virtual tabletop game, and the players were happy with something that was lighter in integration. I also use Foundry. The Foundry Pathfinder module is out of this world. It's just jaw-droppingly amazing. 4th edition is coming on Foundry. Oh, great, it's worked. Excellent for you. I'm talking into the void. Cheers, Dom. My players didn't want the full integration, and actually with the licensing of 4th edition, you're not able to do what Paizo very generously do with Pathfinder, as in it's all available. It's not in 4th edition. You've got to build it yourself. So in some ways, because the integration isn't there, I'm going to use a nice audiovisual tool, but I have done some things to make it possible. So you'll see on the left there, that's the sheets area. The sheets area opens and closes. And I've got, some sheets that I put together for 4th edition. So I've got a die roller, very simple. If I've got something rolling a d20 plus 6, I click the plus 6. I put in a d20, I roll the dice. Wow. There's a dice roller, and it does kind of the job, and you can decide if it's 2d8 plus 6 because it's damage, I'll make this a private roll. Bosh, you've got a result. And you can start to play out with the dice roller. Does it integrate and automatically take damage off the character sheets? No, it doesn't. You either scribble it down on a piece of paper, the aforementioned pieces of paper, or you note it on the character sheet. I have got a character sheet on here somewhere. It would help if I used this. So I've got some character sheets. I'll look at another one in a minute. But you can create all sorts of sheets, and it's all programmatic. There's no programming required. It works for me. I'm not a coder, so maybe it's more the VTT for me. So I've got things like lines and veils. We've agreed effectively what we want to include in the game, what we feel is basically a safety tool, we've got some lines. These are lines that we don't cross and we don't want to talk about very much. So we've as a consensus, as a group, we've agreed what they are. We've got some things some veils where we want to kind of just, sure, they're a part of the game, but we're not going to dwell on them. And I think it's those light sort of PG-13 veils that will pull across it. So we've even got things like lines and veils. I have put some rules on. All these sheets, by the way, are shared with the roll community, and you can apply them to your own game. So anything that I build, you can have. Anything that you build, I can have if you share it. So it's really good. It's really easy to apply them as well. Some rules about actions and difficulty classes. Oh, what are we talking? Right, it's a 5th level moderate test. There you go, DC 15. The levels of automation is interesting, and it's about how much you want to automate, and it's what you're looking for out of a VTT. There are some things that I don't have on roll that I would love. I suppose the things that are missing for me that really nice will be a little bit of fog of war on the maps. I mean, they have gone down the map and token. I'll show you the maps and tokens in a minute. It's very light. It's very lightly done. It hasn't got. You can't click on a token and it pulls out effectively. The character sheet pops up. It doesn't do anything like that. It's just purely a physical representation of where your character is in the action. Like if you were around a table and it was a physical thing. That's what it is. So it doesn't have all that. Arguably, it doesn't need it. As Tom says, the focus is on the interaction. That's kind of where it is. That's where it's at. Let me just grab it. I'm going to grab a sheet. There's another die roller there. I've got a skill challenge sheet. So if I want to build a skill challenge, I can pop it on here, keep track of things. How many successes have they got? Oh, how many failures? Whoops. Just keep a skill challenge going. We're doing a skill challenge yesterday, which is quite good fun. I'm going to just quickly grab another character sheet because it's sort of slightly better done. So this is an example character. At the moment, that's what you get. It's on the left-hand side. It's rendered to a certain pixel width. They don't do pop-out or anything at the moment. They've got a really nice table of contents. So you open up the table of contents. You want to have a look at your at-will powers. Bosh, it bookmarks it, if you like, takes you to the at-will powers. Let me just clear that roll. I want to use my erupting flare. What is it? Well, it's that. Okay, it's my int versus fortitude. It's all set up for you. Bang. It automatically puts it into the dice roller with the dice that you want because it's like programmed in, if you like, on the back. Make a roll. How do I do? Rubbish. I'll get 9. It'll probably fail. Clear that. If I manage to get some damage, well, the damage dice is set up for me. Bosh, I can do that. I can roll my dice, and I can do my damage. And that also actually goes into the dice log as well, which is part of the chat. The chat's hidden away. You might see a bit of the chat there. Whoops, there's the chat. It's behind me. It's right behind me. You can do all sorts of things with chat. You can chat to individual players. You can just look at the dice log. You can have everything else running. That's kind of fine. Yeah, so that's a character sheet, and you can sort of just keep doing that. You think, no, I want to go to one of my dailies. Bang! I'm in one of my dailies. I want to use Acid Arrow because things are going down. It's towards the end of the day anyway. I'm gonna blast them. I've put in like literally all the text. Things that I've asked for is maybe pop out, maybe being able to run this on a different device. Maybe even they do support markup a little bit. I can't do much about the size of this, but they do support markup. It's quite nice. So suddenly I've got 2d8 plus 4. Yummy. I'll do that instead. So it goes, and yeah. So the character sheet works really, really, to be honest, pretty well. You've got your features and feats, so it runs through all your features and feats. At some point, it's going to give you things like your hit points. How many have you got? How many healing surges have you got? All that kind of like the things you have to keep track of. It's there. And you can either decide to frankly scribble it down on a piece of paper, old school, or you can do it on here if you wish. So, and I agree with you, Dom, it doesn't have audio and music. I run a separate piece on that. I should have included that in this video actually, and then I share a link. And so you've got to have another tab open to listen to my dreadful heroic music or helpful sound effects. Are they? I don't know. It amuses me. Markdown rocks. Okay, that's roll. That's roll. I could do some more on roll. I could show you things like the asset management stuff. So you can add in your maps. In fact, no. Let me. Allow me to show you just an example of a map and what you do with a map. You get 5 gig of storage and it's free at the moment, by the way. It's free to use. I'm starting to shill for roll, aren't I, on this video? I do like it. 5 gig of storage. That's pretty generous, given some of the stuff. Let me just show party a map, just to show you the tokens and tools. I'm going to pop Enna back out of the way for a minute. Here we are. You get some tool controls, which you can only partly see at the moment because of the way I've done it. But you basically have got all your classic sort of, stuff. This is actually a fight in a tomb. Some people haven't gone so well. Mostly you're adding tokens and moving tokens around. Largely that's it. So you can go to your tokens and you can add a token in. Doesn't have fog of war. I use black square tokens as a way of hiding stuff. Doesn't really work, if I'm being honest. Not that well. I've built up quite a few tokens over time. Look at this nonsense. And you can do things like, I want to have a dragon breath effect. Well, I can put that onto onto, and it's just a PNG token, yeah. So I can say the dragon breathes here. What's got you lot? So you tend to just use tokens. There are controls to take things off and move things around, but that's largely it. You know, but it does manage. It does manage things really visually and really, really well. PNG tokens, it's business. It's great. And as you can see in the bottom there, cameras resolve automatically. You throw up your actual map. Everybody nicely resolves into a nice row below. And then when you stop sharing, bosh, all the cameras come back and the focus is back on people, because at the end of the day, our games are about people, aren't they, really? So that's roll. While I'm here, I'm going to just clickety-click. I did mention that 4E database. So if I wanted to put staff in here, bosh, anything that's got staff mentioned, and I wanted a staff of provocation, like you do, I don't know, it resolves it and presents it to you, tells you what it is, does all the spells. I copy and paste some of these into images and share them as assets back in Roll. So if I pop back into Roll for a second and we look at the assets, you'll see in places I've got, this. Let me just show party. Let's clear this out of the way. Oh yes, a staff of command. Well, I probably took that from what you've just seen. And then I share that, and then that's in the assets of all the players, so you can see that as well. So that's another thing that I do. So a great tool. And I mentioned the piazza.org.uk. It's Zero Maru X is the person who's done all that work, and you can find it on the Piazza. It's the Piazza, all one word, .org.uk. Get yourself over there. It's got all the D&Ds, all of them. And it's got some great resources and information on there. I found that whole place by mistake. I just fell on it, and it's fantastic. And there's loads of stuff, particularly Nentir Vale. There's pieces on Nentir Vale. I've used his material. Or he's from Colombia. I've just noticed he's from Colombia. So I think English is his second language. But he's amazing work. Tribute to him and tribute to the Piazza, really. Nice stuff. Right, the online thing has worked well. Do you know what? I'm still experimenting. That seems to have gone off okay. I'm going to move on from my browser window and look at some other things I've just been doing. It's all about, these are just simple tools. It's nothing more than all you lot are doing already, but non-player characters. So, as they've gone through Harken World, they're now out, they've gone through Dupont, or the town of two bridges. They have now moved on into the Witchlight Fens, a place of mystery and danger. They're picking up contacts and people all the time, so I keep an NPC log for them. One of my players, Pete, is keeping a note log. We've got a full note log of all the key things that we've found and people we've met in a separate repository that Pete's maintaining. Actually, to be honest, I was looking at it yesterday. It's great. Isn't it great to have players like that? Isn't that amazing? That just makes my life a lot easier and everyone's life a lot easier. So rather than people thinking, who was that person? They've got a log, and that's an asset for them on the VTT and actually on the Discord. So it's just a simple thing that I mentioned that I was up to. I think I'm almost there. It was just a quick run through of what's going on. Some of the tools that I've been using. I've just had a great time with it. And, I've been very fortunate in lockdown to have great games happening. So this, for me, has been one of the best ones that I've run, I think, in maybe ever. I never thought I'd be running long-term campaigns again. I just didn't think it would happen. Maybe there's something about lockdown, maybe there's something about online play, and there's certainly something about the way that these D&Ds are structured that just encourages it. How long will the enthusiasm last for this game? I don't actually know, and I don't mind, because we've got to 5th level. Will we spend another 5 years playing it? Probably not. Real life may interject. But I would say, as a as a game, I would heartily endorse 4th edition. If you're going for super heroic kind of heroic fantasy, it does it very well. There's so many tools out there to support it. And if you can get yourself a great roster of players, well, I'm 26 sessions in. I think I've played 30 sessions of 4th edition this year. I'd never have picked that out. I do love indie games. I love all sorts of games. I got a lot of love out of 4th edition. Who knew? Well, all of us now. So that's kind of it. Hope this has been of interest. Something to drink your tea on. Thanks for those who've jumped on and supported me. The one technical thing about this process that I think I haven't quite sussed is the chat. I know when I first did it, I could actually type things into the chat. I've been watching the chat. I have been able to watch you, but I haven't been able to participate. I'll have to sort that out. There'll be a way. I've clicked the wrong button somewhere. Not to worry. Hope you have a great Sunday, everyone. Yeah, 4th edition. It's been a lot of fun. It's more than just a buying exercise, or indeed a technical exercise of the tooling. It plays really well. Loads of fun. So I'd heartily recommend it. But for now, I'll say ta-ta and have a great Sunday, everyone. Cheers.